Welcome back to the OHSU Effect. Good morning. We're going to talk now about one of the biggest mysteries in the medical field, autism. Some reports say Oregon has higher rates of autism than other states, but no one knows why. Up at OHSU, doctors are studying the disorder by using advanced speech and language technologies. With me now on the OHSU Effect is Dr. Jan van Santen, director of the Center for Spoken Language Understanding and a professor of biomedical engineering. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, first for listeners that might not be as familiar with autism, how is it defined?
Well, one of the problems with autism is that, in fact, it is not very well defined. So what you notice about individuals with autism is that their behavior can be very awkward. Like you may be with them, but you're not really with them. There's some kind of a, opaque wall between you and them. The other thing that you may notice is that they have some, obsessions about certain things, like they may constantly talk about one and the same topic, or they may be, playing constantly with something. So these repetitive behaviors are also an important part of autism. Now, what's important to realize about autism, it's not caused by bad parenting. It's already there at birth. It's what we call a neurodevelopmental disorder. Something goes wrong before birth with the way the brain develops. It is highly genetic. For example, if you have a child with autism and you have another child with autism and you're pregnant again and your third child is going to be a boy, the chances that he has autism is going to be about 50%. It's very high. But besides genetics, there's also a lot of evidence that there's involvement of the environment, drugs the mother may take during pregnancy, toxins, what have you.
How common is this? Because we do know that Oregon does have some higher rates than other states.
So the latest numbers from the CDC are nationally a little bit less than 1%, but it means that that's 3 million people in this country. So that's really quite a few.
And I understand your research is aimed at detecting autism at an early age. I mean, how is autism currently diagnosed?
Okay, right. Yeah, we actually have a whole bunch of projects going on, but let me just talk about the one that focuses on detection of autism in infants, okay? So let's first talk a little bit about diagnosis. So it's really important to realize about diagnosis is that there's no blood test for autism. There's no brain scan for autism. Yes, some progress has been made, but we are still very, very, very far away from putting that into actual clinical practice. So right now, autism is detected behaviorally by a clinician playing with, talking to someone with autism, and then looking at some very specific criteria. And so what are these criteria? So the first thing they are looking at is what is called deficits in social communication. Is it possible or not to have any kind of a back and forth with the child, whether it is a verbal back and forth or a non-verbal back and forth? Can you do that or not? Another one is that you look at what they call atypical nonverbal behavior. For example, eye contact. Do you have any eye contact at all or not? Another one is that you may want to ask questions to the kid like, well, do you have any friends? So what you try to find out there is, does the kid have any kind of a, ongoing relationships with other people, or is the kid just largely by himself? By the way, I'm saying himself because about 80% of kids with autism are male and only 20% are female. So deficits in social communication is one thing the clinician is looking at. The second one has to do, again, with these what is called repetitive and restricted behaviors. Now, another thing that's really important is that these problems should have been there right from the start on, right from the beginning, not just, when the kid, turned 5 or something like that. Because then it probably can be caused by family problems or something like that.
Are there problems, though, with this method of diagnosis?
Well, yeah, there are big problems because they require a lot of expertise. It requires enormous of expertise to, for example, decide whether bad eye contact is bad eye contact of the type that is indicative of autism, or whether it is because maybe the kid doesn't like the examiner, okay, or the kid comes from a culture where eye contact is impolite, or the kids are just shy. And so it really requires a lot of clinical expertise to exactly decide whether this is the wrong kind of bad eye contact or not. And so not only does it require a lot of expertise, it is also not very precise. And so there's some recent data that indicate when different research groups across the country use exactly the same diagnostic methods, they nevertheless do very different things. Okay, so in other words, diagnosis is a huge problem, and that's really one of the key things that we focus on.
Doctor, we only have about 20 seconds left, but I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in taking part in your research.
Okay, so one thing is you can Google the following 3 words, autism, PAIRS, OHSU, and PAIRS stands for PDX Autism Infant Research Study. The other thing you can Google is autism CSLU, where CSLU stands for the Center for Spoken Language Understanding.
And we'll have that on our website as well, kxl.com. Just look for the OHSU Effect page. Dr. Jan van Santen, thank you so much.
You're welcome.